Hello and welcome back. In the last video, we started working on the homepage. We created a screen component and now we're showing our recent screens on the homepage. Now, I went ahead and added one more screen and some likes and comments, which we can't see right now because we're not displaying that data. But I noticed something. If you open up the console window, we have a couple of errors that we need, a couple of warnings that we need to fix. By the way, this is the data that we got back from our API endpoint, from our request. We printed it right here. But I'm gonna remove the print because we don't need to have the data. Let's look at these errors. So first one is React router DOM apparently doesn't like it when we import link separately. So let's fix that. So here in the screen, here, so let's destructure link from the entire library. I think we're using it in the home as well. No. Yeah, in the navbar, we're using it in the navbar. So here, let's remove the slash link and just do like this. And by the way, my server is still running, my development server. If yours is not, just run npm install. I'm gonna close this window. I'm gonna save all files. Let's go back to our console window. That error is gone, and here it says each child in a list should have a unique key. Oh, this is a React thing. I think it's in the home. Yeah, here. Whenever we are looping through an array and we're showing some data, each child has to have a unique key property. So let's pass this a key property, and we know that our screens, they have the screen ID property, which is unique. So let's do screen.screen ID, and that error should be gone when we save. And it is apparently I gave some class a class instead of class name. It's in the card content, so that's in screen. Yeah, right here. So class name instead of class, and all the errors should be gone, and we only get these warnings that we're not using these values. Cool. All right, so I want to format this like you see in Facebook and Twitter. Whenever someone posts something, you see like 5 minutes ago or like 2 days ago or whatever. And for this, I'm going to use a library called Day.js. Now we could use Moment. Moment is great, but Moment has like loads of extra functionality that we're not going to use. And it adds like more than 50 kilobytes to our bundle size. So I'm just going to use a lightweight alternative called Day.js. As my voice is cracking there. So npm install --save day.js. And as it's installing, I'm actually going to bring it in here. Let's do import day.js from day.js. And not days, day.js. So if we were to go to the documentation, you'll see it follows the same same format that you would use Moment. You just call the class, or I mean the library, and then you pass it the date like here, and then you do dot format and you format it like you want. But for this one, we don't need dot format. We need actually we need a functionality that comes from a plugin. Where's the plugin list? Right here. So I'm gonna search for from now. Yeah, so it's this from now thing. We want to show the date like this. This relative time plugin. So we need to bring this plugin just like this. So let's copy this. Let's go here. So import relative time from there. And the way Day.js works is that we need to call this extend function to actually add this plugin. So at the start of our code, we need to do not in the class, in the random method. So here we say day.js.extend, and we pass it our plugin, so relative time. And here where the date is, right here, we cut this created at, we say day.js, and then we pass it the created at date, and then we do dot from now. Simple as that. We save, go to our app, and we close this console. Cool, we get, this was posted an hour ago, this was posted 17 hours ago and this was posted 19 hours ago. Cool. So we get the relative time thing. Now we could keep working on the buttons that are on the card, on the screen cards, like buttons, the comment and the expand and the delete button. But most of these buttons actually depend on our authentication state. So for example, the like button, if you're not logged in, it will, if you click it, it would direct you to the login page. If you are logged in, and then if you have liked this screen, it will be a full heart, and if you haven't, it would be like an empty, just outline heart. Now, because all this functionality depends on authentication, that means let's actually work on authentication and then come back to continue with the screen cards. So let's actually implement the login page, because there's nothing there. All right, so let's go to login. And here we're going to use text fields. So let's go to the MUI doc. Let me close this. Let's go to component demos. We're going to use something called text field. And it's this thing right here. Well, there's multiple implementation, but we just need a simple text field. So as you see, you just bring in text field and yeah, you just put text field inside of your form, which is a standard HTML form. And you put these properties inside of it. All right, so let's go to our login. Let's first implement the with styles thing, because we're gonna need later to bring in some global styles and access the global theme. So let's do import with styles from material UI /core/styles/with styles. All right, let's create a styles object. For now, it's going to be empty. Let's do export default with styles, pass the styles, and then for the second thing, pass login. Actually, login should be lowercase login. Yeah, login. And here we're going to have inside the render, actually, we'll do const. Let's take our classes. Well, we have none right now, but we will in a moment. So let's do equals this.props. We destructure it from props. And let's actually use prop types. It's a good practice to use prop types, which is a way that a built-in method in React for type checking. It minimizes like the potential errors that you can get in your application. So let's do import prop types from prop-types. And here we do login dot prop types camel case, so the first P is lowercase, equals an object. And here right now we only have this classes, so let's say classes, and this will be an object. So let's do prop types, remember this prop types, capital P dot object dot is required, because it is required. And now we're gonna have our form here, but what I want to do is here in the login page, I want the form to be in the middle, so not to take up the whole space. So what I'm gonna do, maybe there's a better way of doing it, but for now I'm just gonna have a grid and then have 3 columns, and then have the one in the middle have hold our form. So let's bring in grid. Let's do here MUI stuff. Let's import grid from material-ui/core/grid. Yeah, that's all we need right now. Let's remove this div and let's do return grid. This is gonna be the container, and let's give it a class name, even though we haven't created it yet. Say classes dot. I know this is not the form, it's the form container, but I'm just gonna call it form for now. Let's do 3 grid items. So grid item, and I'm gonna give this a value of small. For on small, they will take up the whole width. And let me copy this and paste it 2 more times. And then here, this one is gonna have content, so it's gonna have a closing tag like this. And for now here, let's just say, I don't know, yo. Here we need this form class, so say form. And what the form is gonna, Well, I know we're gonna have a text align. We might add some stuff more later. Let's do text align center on the everything to be aligned to the center, like the title of the page, and we're gonna have an icon as well. Let's save this for now and let's look at it. So we get yo and it's in the middle, and if we inspect this, if you see, we have 3 divs and they share exactly. Like, what's cool about Material UI is that I don't have to say that this has a width of 4 and 4 and 4. By default, if you put 3 elements and you don't give any default any width value, I mean any like column width value, it will automatically split the by the number of the children you have. So if you have 4 grid items, it's going to give them 25% each. If you have 5, it's going to give them 20, etc. Right now it's giving them 33%. But the problem with these divs is that they don't have any padding. We need some spacing just to push, or do we? Actually, we don't. Let's just like, because we're not going to have other divs from this side and this side. We're not going to have any content from the left and right, so let's leave it like that. Let's, so here at the top, I want to have the monkey image thing. Let's actually bring it from the public folder. So let's copy this icon PNG. Let's create a folder here called images. Let's paste it. Let's close it. Let's bring it in. Let's do import. What do we call it? App icon. Doesn't matter. We can call it anything. We go back 1 level. We go into images and what is it? Icon.png. Cool. Here, let's put image with a source. What is that? Source. Don't know why I typed CRD equals, what is it? App icon. I already forgot what I called it. Yeah, app icon. And yeah, let's give it an alternative property because React warns us if we don't. Let's just say, I don't know, monkey image. Or just monkey. Close this. And under here, I'm gonna have a title that says typography. Actually, I noticed something here that I made a mistake here that I forgot to fix. I imported typography and typography, and as well here I used typography instead of typography in one of them. Yeah, this one. So let's paste this here. Save. Cool. All right, here let's bring in typography. Typography from material-ui/core/typography. Cool. All right, here we're gonna have our title. So we're gonna do typography and variant. It's gonna have a variant of, do you do header 1 or header 2? Let's do header 1. It's good for search engine optimization to have a header 1 in each page. And let's give this class name of classes dot, let's call this page title. This is gonna say, oops, this is gonna say login. And let's just look at it right now. Oh, it's massive. Let's use header 2. Okay, header 2 is better. Let's have some padding or margin between this monkey image. I want it to like kind of have its own space. So let's give this a class name of classes.image. Here, let's do image. Oops, image and margin. Let's give this, so I want to give it 20 on the top, auto on the right, and then 20 at the bottom, and then auto on the right, on the left. Cool, there's some space between it and the title. And let's create our form now. So under the typography here, let's do form. I'm gonna give this no validate because we're gonna have an email here, and by default HTML5 will try to validate the email field. And let's give it a on submit. This dot handle submit, which we haven't created yet. Let's create it. Handle submit. We're gonna make it an arrow function so that we don't have to bind to it, and it's gonna take an event, and here we're gonna just console log, I don't know, hi for now, and here we're gonna have our text fields. So did we bring in text field? We haven't. Let's bring it in. Let's do import text field from @material UI/core/text field. Now if we type text field, you can do control space to see all the stuff you can add to it. I already know what I'm going to use. I'm going to give it an ID of email and name of email, which we're going to use later for when we are handling the change. A type of email, which is, to be honest, not that important, but it's just good practice. Let's just add it. A label. The label is just going to say email. This is what is written on it before you type anything. I'm going to give it a class name of classes.text field. This is a JavaScript object, so you stick to, like, we should stick to camel case variable names. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna give this a value. Actually, we haven't declared our state yet. I'm gonna give this a value of this dot state dot, what is this, the email dot email. And here there's two main ways of handling forms in React. One is the references, where you create references for your input fields and then you get the values of the references. And the second one is the more popular one called controlled component, which is using the state. I mean, they're both the same. I just prefer the controlled component one, so I'm going to use it. Actually, maybe they're not the same. Maybe there's different applications for different scenarios, but I prefer to use the controlled component one because we can use the React dev tools and check out the state to make sure that everything is working fine. So let's do this dot state equals, we're gonna have an email and a password because this is our login form. I'm gonna initialize them as empty strings. Actually, we're also gonna have a loading property, which is false by default. This is when you press the login button, I want it to show like a spinner as it's requesting stuff from the server, because we're using cloud functions. Well, in general, it's a good practice, but we're using cloud functions. Sometimes the first execution is kind of slow. It's called a cold start. So having a spinner actually gives the illusion of the app being more responsive, and it actually doesn't. It seems like the time it takes loading is less when you see a spinner. Okay, so we're gonna have an errors array in case any errors happen or invalidating the form. Okay, so we're here, and what else? Yeah, on change, which we haven't created yet, is gonna be this dot handle change. Let's create that. So we could actually do handle change and pass this the name of the field, but since we already have a name here, we can do it in a more generic way by doing handle change equals. So we'll have an event, and here we're gonna say, wait, why did I put the handle submit outside the class? All right. So handle change is going to take an event, and this event will have, because we're here, well, or on any other text field, this event will have a target property. And if we're on this text field, this target will be this text field, or the input actually in the HTML. And the input has a couple of things. One of them is the name, because we gave it here the name, and then one of them is the value, because it's what's written in it, or what's in the state. So what we can do here, we can do this dot set state. We want to set the value of the input to the value of to its correspondent value on the state. So we can say this dot state, and we want to set. So this is generic. It's going to take an event dot target dot name. So if it's the email, input, it's gonna have email. If it's the password input, which we haven't created yet, it's gonna be password. And the value of this is gonna be event.target.value. All right, so this would work for both of them. And yeah, okay, so we have this unchanged, and I'm gonna add this full width property, which is gonna let this text field take the full width of its containing div. And I'm gonna close like this. And by the way, if you're wondering how I know this full width thing or anything else, you can just go to here, text field, go at the bottom to the API reference, click on, where is it, text field here, and you can see all the properties that you can actually use. There's tons of different stuff that you can use to make the experience better. We're gonna use a couple more later, but for now let's copy this text input, or text field rather, and let's paste it. And the second one will have the ID of password. Or let's just actually select email and then Control D 3 times or 4 times, or 3 times rather, and do password. So yeah, ID is password, name is password, type is password, so that we don't see when we're typing, and the label is password with capital P. Class name is that, text field value is this.state.password, and onChange is the same, and full width as well. All right, so now we need a button to submit this form, and for this we're actually going to bring in the material UI button. So let's do import button from material UI /core /button. Oops, button. All right, so where are we? We are here. So here we say button of type submit, and I'm gonna give it a variant. You can go to the material UI doc and go to button, not the API, the demo, and pick any variant you want. You can have the this one. I don't know what you call this actually. What's the variant of this? This is the default, maybe. Yeah, it's the default, but this is called contained. So I like the contained one. It has the whole color and it has this drop shadow. It looks cooler. All right, so let's give it a variant of contained. Contained, and the color of primary, and the class name of classes.button. And we need to create all these styles actually. So, okay, let's close this. And let's go here. Let's do, what do we need to style? We need to style the page title. So page title, I want to have like some margin for the page title. So let's give it margin. Let's do the same for the image. Let's save, let's look at it. All right. Oh, this looks weird. Okay, so we have our inputs, but there's too much space between the login and the image. Let's just reduce this to Control D, reduce this to 10. Let's look at, okay, this is better. Actually, I want the inputs as well to have some margin on the top and the bottom. So let's style that. Let's do, what is it? Text field. Yeah, text field. Text field. So I need to give the text field a margin as well. Let's give it the same as the title, and let's look at it. All right, cool. I don't know what's wrong with the button. Why is it doing that? Oh, actually, what am I saying? Of course I know what's wrong with the button. Because the button needs some text inside of it. Of course. Login. Yeah, there we go. All right, so the text field, and what do we do now? We need some margin between the button and the input. So let's do button margin, or just margin top. Yeah, just margin top, because the let's just say 20. We can do a number, and yeah, this is it. All right, let's test this out. email@email.com. Oh, well, of course we didn't write the handle submit. What am I saying? Okay, we need first to prevent default behavior, because of course we don't want to show this information here and we don't want to reload the page. So let's do here, let's do event dot prevent default, and here what we want to do is we want to send the request to our server and then show any errors, or if it's successful, redirect to the home page. So we're going to use Axios, so let's bring it in. So let's do import Axios from Axios, and here what we need to do, well, actually we need to implement the loading thing as well. So once the the form is submitted, we do this dot set state to, and then we give loading true, and then once everything is done, we're going to set it back to false. And now we're going to do Axios dot post, and it's going to be at /login. And by the way, if you don't remember, or if you haven't forgot, or if you haven't seen the part for the API, this is how the login works. You send an email and a password, and if it's wrong, if the email is wrong, you get an error. Actually, if anything is wrong, you get a general error that wrong credentials, please try again. And if the email is empty, you get an error just for the email. So we're going to use this errors object and give just that input, the error that corresponds to it. And if it's correct, we get a token. When we get user, not users. Yeah, so if it's correct, we get a token and of course an OK response, which will allow us to redirect to our homepage. So here, so post at login, let's get the data. So const user data, let's call it, and it's going to be an object, and this will be, we'll have an email. This will be this dot state, because remember we bound those values to our state, this dot state dot email, and the password will be this dot state dot password, and then we pass user data here. I mean, we could put this object here, but it looks cleaner like this. And this returns a promise, so we do dot then. And if we get a result, so if we get here, that means we're successful. So let's actually console log our result. Oh, this is Axios, so the data will be in result.data. So if we're successful, we want to redirect. So we want to do let's set the loading to false actually first. Let's do this dot set state loading to false, and then here we do this dot props dot history dot push, and this is a method we use in React to push state a URL, and then we go to it, or a path. So here we push /, which is the home page. So this should redirect us to the home page. But if we have any problem, if we have any errors, so we do catch error, and here we need to set the errors of our form. So what we need to do is this dot set state, and we want to give the errors the value of error dot response dot data, and we want to set actually this is errors, and we want to set the loading to false. Right now the loading is not being used by anything. Let's get the loading from the state. Let's actually get the errors as well, so we can display them. So let's get errors and loading from state, this dot state, using destructuring again. And here for the input, we're gonna use something called helper text, So if you click on an input, actually not here. So if we go to text field, yeah, this is the helper text, this text right here, and you can use it to display errors, or you can use it to display hints. We're going to use it to display errors if there's any. So here what we need to do, we need to say helper text equals, and this will be, because this is the email, this will be errors dot email, and we don't have to worry about if there's nothing in errors. If there's no emails, if email property is just not going to show anything. And here as well we need to have an error property which sets the field to be red. So here we say error, and the way we determine whether we have an error or not is, because this is the email, we say errors dot email and use a ternary operator. So that means if we do have this key, that means there's an error in the email because we've received an email key in the errors array object. So we say true, else it's false. There's no error otherwise if we don't have this. So let's copy this and give it to the password as well. So here let's do errors.password, Control D, and do password like this. So now when we get our response and we get errors like this, or is it errors like this? Let me cause an error to happen. Actually, no, let me have this empty. We can have this email and we can show it in the helper text. All right, so let's save. So let's leave them empty and we click login. Oops, it says type error, cannot find data. Oh, it's because I misspelled response here. Response. Alright, so if we send, there we go. We get our errors and they are put in the helper text and the input is invalidated. And if I would put an email here, so let's say, I don't know, like something at something at, whenever I type something random, it's like sad, what the hell? Alright, so login, that error is gone. And if I give like a random password, oh, actually we need to show, if the credentials are wrong, we need to show some error right here. So here, let's show it under the button, or no, actually we should show it on top of the button. And let's say here we do like a conditional errors dot, because if we have wrong credentials, we get an error called general. So let's check for that error. Let's do errors.general. So if it's the case, so and if we have errors.general, then render this. And let's do typography variant. Let's give this body to, and this will have a class name because we want to change the style of this. Classes dot custom error, I'm gonna call it, and here we're gonna have the value of that general key. So we do errors dot general, and here let's get this let's style this. Let's give okay, so custom error, let's give it a like a red color red like this, and let's give it like a smaller font size, I don't know, let's give it like 0.8 rem. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, let's try some, I don't know, wrong email and some wrong password. Cool, we get wrong credentials, please try again. Let's give it some margin so it's not too close to the input. So let's give it margin top, let's say 10 pixels, like this, or just 10 like this. Oh, I mean, I have to put something. Yeah, there we go, much better. Let's as well add some text here that says if you don't have an account, go to sign up, and with a link that redirects to sign up. Let's go here under the button, let's say, let's put a small and say, don't have an account, sign up, and then put a link here to /sign up. This is the React Router DOM link, and it will say here. So the word here will be a link. So let's go and bring in link, import link, link from React Router DOM. All right. Oh, actually, as well, I want to do something. I want when we click, oh, this is not cool. So I want when we click on login, I want to show a spinner inside of it, inside of the login button, and I want to make it disabled so we can't click it again. All right, let's make this actually come down like under the button. Let's just add a line break. So yeah, all right, it's cool. So if we click here, it goes to the sign up page, which has nothing right now. All right. By the way, this looks purple because it's visited. You can change the color of that. I'll add the login, the spinner thing. If you can go here, yeah, progress. This progress thing, we can add the indeterminate progress one. So, which is just what is it? Yeah, it's circular progress. We can copy this. Let's go here. Under MUI stuff, let's bring it in. And here, it's gonna be inside the login button. So here, let's do if loading. So if we're loading, we return this circular progress thing. And let's do class name, because it's gonna need some styling. Classes.progress. Now, the way I want to do it, I want to have it in the center of the button. So what I'm going to do to the button is, okay, do we give class progress? Yeah, okay. So the button will have a position of relative, so that we can give the spinner a position of absolute, so that we can put it in the middle. So position absolute. All right. Okay, we get a spinner for like a fraction of a second. It's actually, why is it being too fast? I want it to be slow. All right, so let's give a wrong password. Let's send. It's being too fast, but oh, the spinner is a bit too big. Let's give it, can take actually a size property, which is just a number. Let's give it a size of 20 or 30. I think 30 is okay. Alright, I don't know, I can't see it right now, but we get a spinner. But oh, actually it's in the middle. It's cool. It's fine. What do we do? Actually, I want to make the button disabled when we're loading. So we'll do disabled, which is a boolean, and we just pass it loading. So if it's loading, it's disabled. If not, it's not disabled. So let's refresh, hit the login button. See, it becomes like disabled for a second. Cool. And if we have the correct credentials, so not email, user@email.com. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the password. Cool, we redirected the home page. And of course, we're not setting the state to be authenticated or anything. We're just redirecting right now. All right, so this video is getting a bit long. In the next video, we're gonna work on the sign up form. So yeah, look forward to that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.